There are places in this world where the veil between what we see and what we feel grows thin, where moonlight doesn't just illuminate, it reveals, where love isn't merely an emotion, but a force that can reshape destiny itself. This is a story that begins in darkness, travels through fire, and ends in a light that no shadow can extinguish. It begins with her. She stands at the edge of a silver lake, barefoot on moss-covered stones, her gown the color of midnight woven with stars. The moon hangs full and heavy above her, so close she could reach up and touch its face. She is known by many names: the Moon Mage, the Forgotten Princess, the last of the Starburn, but she has forgotten what it feels like to be called by the name her mother gave her. Her hands tremble as she lifts them toward the sky. Light pools in her palms, soft and white, the kind of magic that comes not from books or training, but from the marrow of her bones. It is ancient, it is lonely, it is hers. She whispers words in a language older than the mountains, and the water before her begins to glow. Ripples spread across the surface, forming patterns, visions of what was, what is, what might yet be. She sees a throne made of bone and shadow. She sees a crown that burns without consuming. She sees a man with eyes like molten gold, standing in a forest where the trees have no leaves, only thorns. And she sees herself lying broken on cold stone, her light extinguished. "Show me another way," she pleads, her voice cracking. There must be another way, but the water only reflects her own desperate face back at her, and the moon offers no answers. She doesn't know that across the dark forest, beyond the mountains where no birds sing, he is searching for her. He moves through the wilderness like a storm given form. The Alpha Lord, his name is spoken in whispers, in warnings, in prayers. Some call him Savior, others call him Monster. He has learned not to care which. His pack follows at a distance, 30 wolves with eyes that glow in the darkness, bound to him by blood and oath, and something deeper than either. They can feel his restlessness tonight, the way his power crackles in the air around him like lightning before it strikes. He stops at the crest of a hill and looks down at the valley below. Somewhere in that vast expanse of shadow and silver, she waits. The one the prophecy spoke of. The one whose soul is tied to his by threads older than time. His second in command, a scarred wolf named Kale, approaches cautiously. "My lord, the scouts report movement near the crystal lake. It could be her." The Alpha Lord's jaw tightens. "It is her. I can feel her magic from here. It tastes like starlight and sorrow. Then we take her tonight." He doesn't answer immediately. In his mind, he sees the prophecy again, the words burned into his memory by the old seer who died speaking them. To break the curse, you must claim not her love, but her soul. Only then will the darkness release its hold, and only then will you be free. He has built his entire existence around this moment. Every battle fought, every enemy destroyed, every night spent pushing back the encroaching shadows that threatened to consume his land and his people, all of it has been leading to her. But when he closes his eyes, he sees more than prophecy. He sees the vision that haunts him in rare moments of stillness, a woman with hair like midnight silk, eyes that hold entire galaxies, a smile that could make him forget every brutal thing he's ever done. He sees her not as a means to an end, but as something his soul recognizes even though they've never met. "We approach carefully," he finally says. "She is not to be frightened. She is not prey." Kale's eyes flash with curiosity, but he bows his head. "As you command." They descend into the valley, moving like shadows between shadows, and with every step, the Alpha Lord feels the pull growing stronger. It's magnetic, inevitable, terrifying. He has faced armies without flinching, but the thought of standing before her makes something in his chest constrict. He wonders if she can feel it too, this connection that defies explanation, this recognition that transcends time. She senses them before she sees them. The forest around the lake grows quiet in that particular way that signals predator, not prey. The small creatures that sing at night fall silent. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. She turns slowly, her hands still glowing with residual magic, and there he is. The Alpha Lord steps into the clearing, and the moonlight catches him in a way that makes him look both terrifying and magnificent. He is tall, powerfully built, his features sharp and aristocratic despite the wildness that clings to him like a second skin. His eyes, those golden eyes she saw in her vision, fix on her with an intensity that makes her feel seen in a way she hasn't been in years. Behind him, she can sense his pack, dozens of them, waiting in the darkness. She should be afraid. She has heard the stories, knows what he is capable of. But fear is not what floods through her when their eyes meet. It's recognition. You, she breathes, and her voice carries across the water like a bell. He stops at the lake's edge, maintaining distance, but she can feel the effort it costs him. Every muscle in his body is taut with restraint. You've been waiting for me, he says, and it's not a question. I've been running from you, she corrects, but there's no conviction in her words. And yet you're still here. She wants to deny it, to tell him she fight, that he'll never have what he came for. But the truth is more complicated than that. The truth is that part of her has been waiting her whole life for this moment, even as another part screams at her to flee. I know what the prophecy says, she tells him, lifting her chin. I know what you need from me. His expression shifts, something that might be pain flashing across his features before he schools them back to neutrality. Do you? My soul, she says simply. You need my soul to break your curse, to save your people, to stop the darkness from consuming everything. She pauses, and when she speaks again, her voice is softer, edged with a sorrow that seems too old for her young face. Tell me, Lord Alpha, what happens to me when you take it? Do I simply cease to exist? Do I become an empty shell? Or do I die slowly, aware of everything I've lost? The question hangs between them like a blade, and for a long moment, he doesn't answer. He can't, because he doesn't know. The prophecy spoke of the claiming, the breaking of the curse, the salvation of his lands, but it said nothing about what would happen to her. And suddenly, standing here in the moonlight with this woman who looks at him with eyes full of stars and sadness, he realizes that not knowing is unbearable. I don't know, he admits, and the honesty in his voice surprises even him. But I know that I've spent 300 years fighting a darkness that grows stronger every day. I've watched it take my family, my friends, everyone I've ever cared about. I've become a monster to fight monsters, and still it's not enough. He takes a step closer, and she doesn't retreat. They told me you were the answer. That your power, your soul, bound to mine, could end this nightmare. But they never told me. He stops, struggling with words he's not accustomed to speaking. What? She prompts gently. They never told me that you'd be real. That you'd have your own sorrows, your own fears. That looking at you would feel like remembering something I never experienced. His voice drops to barely above a whisper. They never told me it would feel like this. The confession settles between them like snow, soft and surprising. She feels tears gathering in her eyes, not from fear, but from the weight of understanding, because she feels it too. This impossible pull, this sense that their souls already know each other, even as their minds struggle to comprehend. What is your name? She asks suddenly. Your real name, not your title. He hesitates then. Casimir. I was called Casimir before I became what I am now. Casimir, she repeats, and the way she says it makes it sound like a prayer. I am Lyra, just Lyra, though I've been called many other things. Lyra. He takes another step closer. They're only a few feet apart now, close enough that she can see the silver threads in his dark hair, the scars that mark his hands, the exhaustion etched around his eyes. I won't force you. I won't take what you don't give freely. But I'm asking, begging, if I must help me save them. My people, the innocents who've done nothing wrong except be born in cursed lands. If this moment touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. It helps us bring more stories like this one. Let the algorithm know that romance, hope, and magic still matter. She looks at him for a long time, seeing past the fearsome exterior to the desperate soul beneath. She thinks about the vision she saw in the water herself, line broken, light extinguished. Perhaps that is the price. Perhaps that has always been the price. But she also thinks about all the innocents suffering in shadow-cursed lands, the children who've never seen true sunlight, the mothers who sing lullabies in darkness, the fathers who patrol walls knowing they cannot win against what comes for them. 3 days, she says finally. Give me 3 days to put my affairs in order, to say goodbye to what I must leave behind, and then ... I will come with you willingly. I will try to help you break this curse, whatever the cost to me. Relief floods across his features so powerfully that he actually staggers slightly. 3 days. I swear it. He presses his fist to his heart in a gesture that she recognizes as an ancient oath. And Lyra, thank you. Those words are insufficient, but they're all I have. She nods, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She watches as he backs away, as his pack emerges briefly from the shadows before melting back into them. She watches until the last trace of his presence has vanished from the clearing. Then she sinks to her knees beside the lake and weeps for the life she's about to leave, for the sacrifice she's chosen, and for the impossible connection she felt to a man who needs her soul more than her love. But the moon above her seems to glow brighter, as if in approval or encouragement, and when she dips her hands into the water again, the visions that form are different than before. She sees firelight. She sees laughter. She sees Casimir's face softened by something that looks almost like joy. She sees possibility. The 3 days that follow are the strangest of Lyra's life. She returns to her tower, a crumbling structure on the edge of civilization where she's lived alone for the past decade, studying magic, communing with the moon, preparing for a destiny she both dreaded and couldn't escape. She packs her few possessions, books that belong to her mother, crystals that store moonlight, the silver circlet that marks her royal blood from a kingdom that no longer exists. She writes letters to the few people who still remember her name, the old herbalist in the village below, the traveling bard who sometimes brings her news of the wider world, the child she once saved from drowning who still leaves flowers at her doorstep. But mostly she thinks about him, about Casimir. She didn't expect to dream of him, but she does. Dreams where they stand together on a cliff overlooking an ocean of stars. Dreams where his hand reaches for hers and she takes it without hesitation. Dreams where his curse breaks and he smiles, truly smiles, and the expression transforms his entire being into something radiant. She wakes from these dreams with her heart racing and confusion tangling her thoughts. How can she feel such things for someone she's barely met? Someone who admitted he needs her soul, not her love. But the heart, she's learning, doesn't care much for logic. On the 3rd day, she stands before her mirror one last time. She is dressed carefully in traveling clothes, practical leather and linen, but with her mother's silver cloak clasped at her throat. Her dark hair falls loose down her back, and she's left the circlet on, a final assertion of who she is beyond prophecy and sacrifice. She looks like a woman going to her death, but also like a woman choosing her own path, and there is power in that. When she descends from her tower, he is already there, waiting at the base of the stone stairs. He stands alone this time, his pack nowhere in sight, and the setting sun paints everything in shades of amber and gold. Their eyes meet, and the impact of it steals her breath. "You came," she says softly. "I gave you my word." He studies her face with an intensity that should feel invasive, but somehow doesn't. "Are you ready?" "No," she admits. "But I'm here anyway." Something that might be admiration flashes across his features. He extends his hand, palm up, an invitation rather than a demand. "Then let's begin." She stares at his hand for a moment, scarred, strong, trembling almost imperceptibly. Then she places her own hand in his, feeling the warmth of his skin, the calluses that speak of countless battles, the gentleness with which his fingers close around hers. The moment their skin touches, power flares between them. White light from her magic, gold from his, twining together in patterns that spiral up their joined arms like living vines. She gasps, and he inhales sharply, both of them feeling it, the rightness, the completion, the sense of two halves of something broken finally coming together. "By the stars," she whispers. "It's never done that before," he manages, his voice rough. "My power. It's never responded to anyone like this." They stand frozen, watching the light dance between them, neither willing to break the connection. And in that moment, Lyra understands something that terrifies and exhilarates her in equal measure. This isn't just about prophecy or curses or sacrifices anymore. This is about them. About what they could become together. About what they already are, even if neither of them has words for it yet. The journey to his fortress takes 5 days through wilderness that grows progressively darker. Lyra notices the change immediately, the way the trees become twisted and bare, the way the sky seems perpetually overcast, even though the sun occasionally breaks through. The very air feels heavy, oppressive, tinged with a corruption she can sense but not quite identify. His pack travels with them now, and she learns their names and stories. Kale, the scarred second in command, who is fiercely loyal and surprisingly gentle with the pups. Mira, a female warrior with silver fur who treats Lyra with cautious respect. Young Thomas, barely more than a boy, who looks at Lyra with hope shining in his eyes. They are not monsters. They are families, protectors, people trapped in a nightmare not of their making. Casimir stays close to her during the journey, but maintains a careful distance, as if afraid that too much proximity will somehow break the fragile trust building between them. But at night, when they camp beneath the twisted trees, she catches him watching her across the fire. And when danger approaches, when shadow creatures test the borders of their camp, he positions himself between her and threat with an instinctiveness that speaks of something deeper than duty. She finds herself watching him too, learning the way he moves, fluid and powerful despite his size. The way he speaks to his pack, firm but fair, with a dry humor that surprises her. The way his expression softens when he thinks no one is looking, revealing the exhaustion and loneliness he usually hides. On the 4th night, she cannot sleep. The oppressive atmosphere is stronger here, pressing down on her chest, making her magic flutter anxiously beneath her skin. She sits up in her bedroll and sees that she's not alone in her wakefulness. Casimir stands at the edge of camp, silhouetted against the faint light of a moon barely visible through the cursed clouds. She rises and approaches him carefully, knowing his enhanced senses have already detected her presence. "Can't sleep either?" she asks softly. "I rarely sleep well anymore," he admits without looking at her. "The curse. It whispers, constantly, trying to convince me to give in, to let the darkness take full control. Sleep makes me vulnerable to it." She moves to stand beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touch. "What does it say?" "That I'm a fool for trying to fight it. That salvation is a fantasy. That'll only hurt the people I'm trying to save." He finally turns to look at her, and in the dim light, his eyes glow faintly golden. "That bringing you here was the greatest mistake I could have made." Because when the curse takes you too, it will finally break me completely. Lyra's chest tightens at the raw vulnerability in his voice. Without thinking, she reaches out and takes his hand, the same gesture that sparked such powerful magic between them days ago. This time, the light that flares is softer, gentler, like moonlight rather than lightning. "Listen to me, Casimir," she says firmly, holding his gaze. "I didn't come here to be another weight on your conscience. I came here because I chose to. Because some things are worth fighting for, worth sacrificing for. Your people deserve hope. You deserve hope." She squeezes his hand. "And I'm stronger than you think. Stronger than any curse that thinks it can claim me." He stares at her as if seeing her for the first time, and then, miracle of miracles, he smiles. It's small, tentative, but genuine. "You are extraordinary, Lyra, not because of your power or your sacrifice, but because you still have hope in a world that should have crushed it out of you long ago. Hope is a choice," she tells him, "just like courage, just like love." The word love hangs between them, unintentional but resonant. Neither of them acknowledges it directly, but something shifts in the air, something warm and terrifying and utterly undeniable. That night, she sleeps with her bedroll positioned close to his. And when nightmares wake her, she finds his hand somehow tangled with hers, their magic creating a protective barrier of light that keeps the worst of the darkness at bay. The fortress, when they finally reach it, is both magnificent and heartbreaking. Lyra can see what it once was, a castle of soaring towers and graceful architecture, surrounded by gardens that must have been breathtaking. But the curse has marked everything. The stones are stained with shadow. The gardens are nothing but thorns and dead earth. The sky above is perpetually twilight, neither day nor night, just eternal gray. Yet people live here. She sees them as they pass through the outer gates, families, huddled in what shelter they can find. Children with hollowed eyes, warriors who stand guard with weapons that seem pitifully inadequate against the darkness that presses in from all sides. They look at Casimir with complicated expressions, fear, respect, desperate hope. They look at her with something else entirely, wonder, curiosity, and a cautious optimism that breaks her heart. "The moon mage," she hears someone whisper. "She's real. She came." The weight of their expectation settles on her shoulders like a physical thing, and she understands now, truly understands, what is at stake. This isn't an abstract concept or prophetic inevitability. These are real people whose lives hang in the balance of what she and Casimir do next. He guides her to the central tower, to chambers that have clearly been prepared for her. They are surprisingly beautiful despite everything, a four-poster bed with silk hangings, windows that overlook the barren courtyard, shelves full of books that someone has carefully selected based on her interests. "You did this," she says, turning to him. "You prepared all this for me." He looks almost embarrassed. "I wanted you to be comfortable." "I know it's not much, considering it's perfect," she interrupts. "Thank you." They stand in the doorway, neither quite ready to separate, and Lyra realizes that somewhere along this journey, something fundamental has changed between them. He's no longer just the alpha lord who needs her soul. She's no longer just the sacrifice he requires. They're Casimir and Lyra, two people caught in an impossible situation, drawn together by more than prophecy. "Tomorrow," he says softly, "we'll meet with the elders. They know the ritual, the words that must be spoken, the ways the magic must be woven. They'll guide us through what must happen." He pauses, pain flickering across his face. "I wish there was another way." "So do I," she whispers. "But wishing doesn't change reality. We work with what we have." He reaches out as if to touch her face, then catches himself, his hand falling back to his side. "Good night, Lyra. Good night, Casimir." She closes the door between them and leans against it, her heart pounding. She can feel him on the other side, lingering, neither of them quite able to walk away. Then finally, she hears his footsteps receding down the corridor. That night, she dreams of fire and shadow, of a ritual that tears her soul from her body, of Casimir standing over her with tears streaming down his face as the light leaves her eyes forever. She wakes gasping, her magic flaring wildly around her, and finds him already at her door. He must have heard her distress from his own chambers. He doesn't ask permission, just crosses the room and pulls her into his arms, holding her as she trembles. "I'm here," he murmurs into her hair. "You're safe." "I'm here." And she realizes, with a clarity that cuts like glass, that she's falling in love with him. With this broken, beautiful man who carries the weight of kingdoms on his shoulders. Who tries so hard to be strong for everyone that he's forgotten how to be gentle with himself. Who looks at her like she's something precious even as he prepares to take everything she is. It's the cruelest joke fate has ever played, making her fall in love with the man who will destroy her. Tell me in the comments what part of their story moved you the most. Your words mean more than you know. This journey we're on together, this exploration of love and sacrifice, becomes real through your connection to it. The elders are ancient beyond measure. 3 women who sit in a circular chamber beneath the fortress, surrounded by candles that burn with unusual colors, blue, green, silver. They regard Lyra with eyes that have seen centuries of sorrow, and she feels stripped bare under their gaze. "The moon mage," the eldest says, her voice like wind through hollow trees. "You carry your mother's power." "We knew her once before the kingdoms fell," Lyra's breath catches. "You knew my mother?" "We knew what she sacrificed," another elder says softly. "And we know what you have come here to do." The question is, do you understand the true nature of this ritual? Casimir, standing beside Lyra, tenses. "What do you mean? You told me the prophecy. You told me what must be done." The eldest elder's gaze shifts to him, and there is pity there. "We told you what the prophecy said, Alpha Lord, that her soul must bind with yours to break the curse. But we never said how that would happen, because we did not know if you would find the courage for it. Speak plainly," Casimir demands, his voice edged with the command that makes him a leader of wolves. "The binding of souls does not mean taking," the third elder says gently. "It means merging. 2 souls becoming one. 2 hearts beating in perfect synchrony. 2 beings choosing freely and completely to share not just their power, but their very essence." She pauses meaningfully. "It requires absolute trust, absolute vulnerability, and absolute love." The word echoes through the chamber like a bell. Lyra and Casimir stare at each other, understanding dawning with the force of a thunderclap. "You mean," Lyra starts. "We mean that the prophecy spoke of soul binding, not soul stealing," the eldest says. "The curse can only be broken by a love so powerful, so complete, that 2 souls merge into something stronger than either could be alone. The darkness cannot touch such light." She leans forward, her ancient eyes sharp. "But this is not something that can be forced or faked. The ritual will know if the bond is false. It will consume you both." Casimir turns away, his shoulders rigid. "Then we failed before we've begun. She barely knows me. She has every reason to fear and hate me. How can there be the kind of love you describe? Can't there?" The question comes from Lyra, soft but certain. He turns back to her, and she sees her own confusion reflected in his golden eyes. "These past days," she continues, "I've felt something I can't explain, something that goes beyond logic or reason. When you hold my hand, I feel complete. When you're not near, I feel like part of me is missing. When I look at you," she breaks off, shaking her head, "I don't know if that's love. I don't know if you can fall in love with someone in a matter of days, but I know that what I feel for you is real. It's powerful, and it's growing stronger with every moment we spend together. He crosses back to her in 3 long strides, taking her face in his hands with a gentleness that seems impossible given his strength. I feel it too, he confesses, his voice raw. From the moment I saw you standing by that lake, something in me recognized you. Not as a means to an end, but as mine. As the other half of me I didn't know was missing. His thumbs brush across her cheekbones. But Lyra, I can't ask you to love me just to break a curse. You're not asking, she interrupts, covering his hands with hers. I'm choosing to explore this, to see where it leads, to let myself feel what I'm already feeling. Not because of prophecy or duty, but because when I imagine my future, you're in it, even knowing what it might cost. The elders watch this exchange with something that might be satisfaction, might be sorrow. Then you must begin the journey toward true binding, the eldest says. Not through ritual or magic, but through time, through choice. Through the building of trust and intimacy and all the small moments that forge souls together. She raises a gnarled hand. But be warned, the curse will not sit idle while you grow closer. It will test you. It will try to tear you apart. It will show you each other's darkest truths and deepest fears. Only if you can survive that, only if your bond holds strong despite everything, will you be ready for the final ritual. How long do we have? Casimir asks. The curse grows stronger by the day. I would say 3 months. Perhaps 4, if you're lucky. After that, it will be too powerful to stop, even if your souls were perfectly merged. 3 months. Barely any time at all to build the kind of love that can break curses and bind souls. But when Lyra looks at Casimir, when she sees the determination and hope warring in his expression, she knows they'll try. They have to try. Then we start now, she says firmly. No more holding back out of fear or propriety. If we're going to fall in love properly, we need to do it with our whole hearts. He smiles, that rare transformative smile that makes him look almost mortal and pulls her close. I can work with that. Their first kiss happens there, in front of the ancient elders and flickering candles, and it feels like coming home and venturing into the unknown all at once. Magic swirls around them, white and gold, creating patterns of light that chase back the shadows lurking in the corners. The elders nod among themselves, satisfied. It has begun. The weeks that follow are a study in contradictions. Casimir must still be the Alpha Lord, dealing with threats to his borders, managing his pack, making impossible decisions about rationing and defense. But now Lyra is beside him for much of it, learning the weight of leadership he carries, offering her magic and wisdom where she can. She watches him train with his warriors, his body a weapon honed over centuries. She watches him settle disputes between families with fairness and compassion. She watches him sit with dying soldiers, holding their hands as they pass, promising to care for those they leave behind. She watches him be strong for everyone else, then retreat to his chambers at night, and finally let the exhaustion show. She starts joining him in those quiet evening hours. At first, they simply sit together, talking, sharing stories of their childhoods, their losses, the paths that led them to this moment. She learns that he was once a young lord who loved poetry and music, who never wanted to be a warrior but became one out of necessity. He learns that she was a princess whose kingdom fell to civil war, who watched her mother die performing a great magic to save what people she could, who has carried the responsibility of that sacrifice ever since. They are both so tired of being strong, so tired of being alone. One night, she finds him standing on the battlements, looking out over his cursed lands, and she sees the tears tracking down his face. He doesn't bother to hide them when she approaches. I'm so afraid, he admits, not of dying. I've made peace with that possibility long ago, but of failing them again, of getting so close to hope and watching it slip away. of losing you. His voice breaks. I can't lose you, Lyra. Even if we fail to break the curse, even if we all fall to shadow, I can't lose you. She takes his hand and brings it to her heart, letting him feel the steady beat there. You won't. Whatever happens, we face it together. Your pain is my pain now. Your hope is my hope. He pulls her into his arms, and they stand there for a long time, holding each other against the darkness pressing in from all sides. And she realizes that this vulnerability, this mutual support, this willingness to be weak with each other is what the elders meant. Love isn't just passion and romance. It's standing together when everything is falling apart. It's being each other's shelter in the storm. The physical intimacy comes gradually, naturally, a hand held while walking through ruined gardens, his arm around her shoulders during meetings, her head resting on his chest as they read by firelight. Kisses that start soft and chaste, but deepen into something that makes them both tremble with need and restraint. They wait, though, despite the urgent pull between them, despite nights when Lyra aches with want and Casimir's control frays to near breaking. They wait because they both sense that when they finally come together completely, it will mean something profound. It will be a choice, a commitment, a sealing of the bond they're building. And they want it to be perfect. But the curse, as the elders warned, does not wait patiently. It starts with nightmares, vivid, horrific visions that plague them both. Lyra dreams of Casimir transformed fully into a monster, tearing apart his own pack while she watches helplessly. He dreams of her standing at the lake again, but this time when she looks at him, her eyes are empty and dead, her soul already gone. They wait gasping, reaching for each other, needing the reassurance of warm skin and beating hearts to chase away the horror. Then the curse begins showing them things while they're awake, visions overlaid on reality flashes of alternate futures where everything goes wrong. Casimir sees Lyra lying dead at his feet, his hands covered in her blood. Lyra sees him consumed by shadow, nothing of the man she loves remaining in the creature he becomes. It's trying to make us doubt, she says through gritted teeth after a particularly delicious vision leaves her shaking. Trying to convince us that we'll only hurt each other. What if it's right? The question tears from him like a confession. What if in trying to save everyone, I destroy the one person who matters most? She grabs his face, forcing him to look at her. Then we fight harder, we trust harder. We love harder. That's what it doesn't understand. Casimir, every time it tries to tear us apart, it just makes me more certain that this is real. That what we have is worth any battle. He kisses her desperately, needing her certainty like air, and she gives it freely, pouring every ounce of her conviction into the connection between them. But the curse has more weapons in its arsenal. It begins to show them each other's darkest truths, the things they've hidden, the shamas they carry, the moments they regret most. Lyra sees the memory of Casimir's first kill, how young he was, how the blood on his hands made him vomit for hours afterward. She sees him make impossible choices, sacrificing small groups to save larger populations, ordering retreats that left people behind, becoming the monster he needed to be to fight the darkness. She sees the guilt he carries for every life lost under his watch, the way he silently catalogs each name and face, the way he punishes himself with remembering. And Casimir, he sees Lyra's deepest fear, that she is fundamentally unworthy of love, that her own kingdom fell because she wasn't strong enough, smart enough, powerful enough to save it. He sees the voice in her head that whispers she's a failure, that everyone she cares about ends up suffering, that she should have died with her mother instead of surviving to watch kingdoms crumble. He sees her standing before a mirror, magic swirling around her hands, seriously considering whether ending her own life would be mercy for those around her. When the visions fade, they're both on their knees in the fortress courtyard, tears streaming down their faces, their souls flayed open and raw. The pack watches from a distance, uncertain whether to intervene. The elders observe from their tower window, their ancient faces grave. Everything hangs in balance. Lyra speaks first, her voice barely a whisper. I see your darkness, every terrible thing you've done, every impossible choice, every person you couldn't save. She crawls toward him across the stone. And I love you more for it, because you carry that pain instead of justifying it away. Because you stayed human despite centuries of reasons not to. Because you kept fighting even when there was no hope left. His head snaps up, golden eyes wide with disbelief. And I see yours, he says hoarsely, reaching for her. I see your fear, your pain, your certainty that you're not enough. And Lyra, you're wrong. So wrong it breaks my heart. He pulls her into his arms, holding her like she's something infinitely precious. You survived when survival itself was an act of defiance. You carried your mother's legacy with grace, even though the weight of it should have crushed you. You came here to this cursed place, knowing what it might cost, because you couldn't turn away from people in need. If that's not enough, then nothing in this world ever could be. They cling to each other as magic erupts around them, not the gentle intertwining of before, but something fierce and wild. White light and gold flame, spiraling together, pushing back against the shadows that have been encroaching on the courtyard. The curse screams, an audible sound of rage and frustration, as it realizes it has failed. It tried to drive them apart with truth, but truth has only bound them closer. The pack begins to howl, not in mourning, but in triumph. The sound echoes across the cursed lands, reaching into every corner where shadow has taken hold. And for the first time in 300 years, the darkness flinches back. Up in their tower, the eldest elder smiles. They're ready, she murmurs. Not for the ritual yet, but ready to truly become what they're meant to be. That night, everything changes. Casimir comes to Lyra's chambers after the evening meal, and the air between them crackles with intention. They've been building toward this moment for weeks, through shared fears and whispered confessions, through nightmares survived and battles fought side by side, through the gradual revelation of who they truly are beneath the titles and expectations. I'm tired of waiting, he tells her, standing in her doorway, backlit by torches in the corridor. I'm tired of holding back because we think we should be cautious or proper or patient. He steps inside, closing the door behind him. The curse tried to tear us apart with darkness. It failed. Now I want to bind us together with light. She rises from where she's been sitting by the window. Moonlight streaming through the glass, the moon finally visible through thinning clouds, as if the world itself is responding to their connection. I want that too. I've wanted it for weeks. I was just afraid of what? That you were holding back because you didn't truly want this. That duty was driving you more than desire. He crosses to her in 3 strides, cupping her face in his hands. Lyra, I want you more than I've wanted anything in 3 centuries. I want your laughter and your tears. I want your strength and your vulnerability. I want your body and your heart and yes, your soul, but not as a sacrifice. As a gift freely given, merge with mine until there's no telling where one ends and the other begins. His voice drops to a whisper. I want forever with you in whatever form that takes. She rises on her toes, pressing her lips to his, and the kiss ignites something in both of them that has been carefully banked for too long. His hands slide into her hair, tilting her head back so he can deepen the kiss, and she makes a sound low in her throat that undoes him completely. They move together toward the bed, shutting close between kisses and caresses, learning the landscape of each other's bodies with reverence and urgency intertwined. When he lays her down on silk sheets, the moonlight paints her skin silver, and he thinks she has never looked more like the goddess she's descended from. You're beautiful, He breathes, trailing kisses down her throat, across her collarbone, lower. So beautiful it hurts to look at you. She arches into his touch, her hands exploring the planes of his back, the scars that map a history of violence he survived. You're beautiful too, strong and broken and perfect. When they finally join, when he moves inside her and she wraps herself around him, the magic that has been building between them since the moment they met explodes outward. Light floods the room, not just visible light, but something more fundamental. The very essence of life, of hope, of love, given without reservation. For just a moment, their souls truly merge. She feels his centuries of loneliness, his desperate hope, his absolute devotion to protecting those he loves. He feels her vast compassion, her unshakable faith in redemption, her choice to love him despite everything. They move together, building towards something that transcends the physical, and when release finally crashes over them, it feels like their souls have recognized each other, not just in this lifetime, but across all lifetimes. Like they've been searching for each other through endless darkness and finally found their way home. Afterward, they lie tangled together, hearts pounding in synchrony, magic still shimmering faintly on their skin. Casimir presses his forehead to hers, and she feels the wetness of tears on his face. I love you, he says simply. I should have said it sooner, but I love you, Lyra, not because of prophecy or necessity, just because you're you and I can't imagine existence without you in it. I love you too, she whispers back. I think I've loved you since that first night by the lake, when you were honest enough to admit you didn't have all the answers. When you saw me as a person, not a solution. They sleep that night wrapped around each other, and for the first time in longer than either can remember, their dreams are peaceful. No nightmares plague them. No visions of horror interrupt their rest. There is only warmth, safety, and the absolute certainty of being loved. Outside, the pack members on night watch notice something extraordinary. The sky above the fortress has cleared completely. Stars shine through for the first time in generations, and the moon hangs full and bright, bathing the cursed lands in light that seems to actively push back against the encroaching darkness. The elders feel it too, and they know the bond is nearly complete. Soon, very soon, they will be ready for the final ritual. The weeks that follow feel stolen from time itself, precious moments of light in the midst of darkness. Casimir and Lyra become inseparable, and the pack watches their alpha transform before their eyes. The grim warrior softens. Laughter becomes common. He smiles freely now, especially when she's near, and the change in him ripples outward, giving everyone hope. Lyra, too, blossoms. The weight she's carried for so long, the responsibility, the guilt, the certainty of sacrifice lifts slightly. She allows herself to simply be happy, to enjoy these days with the man she loves, to believe that maybe, just maybe, they can have a future beyond the breaking of the curse. They explore what remains of his lands together. He shows her places that were once beautiful, now ruined, but she can see what they were, what they could be again. A garden where night-blooming flowers grew. A hall where his family once held celebrations. A cliff where he used to stand and watch the sunrise, back when sunrise was possible here. When this is over, she tells him as they stand on that cliff, her hand in his, we'll restore it all. We'll bring light back to every corner of this place. We'll plant new gardens and fill the halls with music again. When this is over, he echoes, pulling her close, I'm going to marry you properly. With witnesses and celebration and vows spoken under open sky. I'm going to spend every day for the rest of existence making sure you never doubt how loved you are. She turns in his arms, reaching up to touch his face. You already do that. Every moment we're together, you make me feel cherished. Then I'll just have to find ways to cherish you even more. They make love on that clifftop, under the slowly clearing sky, and the magic that surrounds them seems to seep into the very earth, causing small shoots of green to push up through dead soil, the first new growth these lands have seen in centuries. But joy, they're learning, is always shadowed by its opposite. The curse makes its final, desperate move on a night when the moon is dark, a new moon, when Lyra's power is at its lowest ebb. It has been gathering strength, conserving energy, waiting for this moment of vulnerability. Casimir wakes to Lyra screaming beside him, her body rigid, her eyes rolled back so only the whites show. Shadow pours from her mouth like smoke, and he can feel the curse trying to use her as a gateway, trying to possess her completely. No, he roars, gathering her into his arms, his own power flaring desperately. You can't have her. She's mine. But the curse is strong, so strong. It shows him visions of what it will do to her, twist her magic into darkness, turn her into a weapon against everything she loves. Make her watch helplessly from inside her own mind as it uses her body to destroy his pack, his lands, everyone they both care about. Give up, the curse whispers directly into his mind. End her suffering. Kill her now, quickly, mercifully. It's the only way to save her from what's coming. For one terrible moment, he actually considers it. His hands move to her throat, and it would be so easy, one quick snap, and she'd be free. Gone, but free. Beyond the curse's reach, his hands begin to tighten. But then he feels it, a flutter of magic from deep inside her, weak but unmistakably hers. She's still fighting, still refusing to give in, even though the agony must be unspeakable. She's fighting for him, for them, for the future they planned on that clifftop. And if she can fight, then so can he. Lyra, he says urgently, lowering his forehead to hers, his hands moving from her throat to cradle her face instead. I know you're in there. I know you can hear me. Remember who you are. Remember what we are together. His power floods into her, golden light trying to find her essence in the drowning darkness. I love you. Do you hear me? I love you, and I won't let this take you. Come back to me. Fight your way back to me. For a long, terrible moment, nothing happens. Then Casimir. Her voice in his mind, weak as a whisper, but unmistakably hers. I'm here. I've got you. Take my power. Use it. Anchor yourself to me. He feels her grab onto the connection between them, like a drowning person grabbing a rope. She pulls herself toward him, toward the light, fighting through layers of shadow that try to drag her back down. It's brutal, agonizing work, and he can feel every moment of her struggle as if it's his own. The pack has gathered outside their chambers now, drawn by their alpha's roar and the waves of magic rippling through the fortress. Kale breaks down the door without asking permission and freezes at the sight before him. Casimir and Lyra lock together, both glowing with power, shadow, and light whirring across their bodies in visible patterns. What can we do? Kale demands. Add your strength to mine, Casimir grits out. All of you. Channel your power through me to her. Help me pull her back. The pack doesn't hesitate. One by one, they place their hands on their alpha's back, on his shoulders, creating a chain of connection. Their power flows into him, 30 wolves worth of strength and devotion, and he directs it all toward Lyra, giving her everything they have. It's enough. The shadow screams as Lyra's essence, bolstered by Casimir's love and his pack's loyalty, tears free of its grip. She gasps, her eyes flying open their normal color, not the soulless black of possession, and collapses against him, sobbing. I've got you, he murmurs over and over, rocking her gently. You're safe. I've got you. The curse retreats, but not without a parting message that echoes through the minds of everyone present. This was mercy. Next time, I will not be so kind. The ritual approaches Alpha Lord, and when it fails, I will take everything you love. If you believe love can conquer destiny, Tap that like button and join our family beneath the moonlight. Share this story with someone who needs to believe in the power of soul-deep connection. Lyra recovers slowly over the next few days, her strength returning in increments. But the attack has shaken them both badly. They know now that the curse will not wait patiently for them to be ready. It's growing desperate, which makes it more dangerous than ever. The elders confirm their fears. The final ritual must happen soon, the eldest says gravely. Within the next week, or the curse will be too strong to overcome. It's already trying to prevent the binding by destroying one of you before you can complete it. Are we ready? Lyra asks quietly, her hand clutched tight in Casimir's. Is our bond strong enough? The three elders exchange glances, then the eldest speaks. The bond between you is stronger than any we've witnessed in our long lives. You have faced darkness together and emerged intact. You have seen each other's worst truths and loved anyway. You have chosen each other repeatedly in every way that matters. She pauses. But the ritual requires one final thing, absolute sacrifice. The willingness to give up everything, including your very sense of self, to merge completely with another. No reservations. No holding back. No small part of you that remains separate, protected, safe. That sounds like death, Casimir says bluntly. It is a kind of death, the second elder agrees. The death of I in favor of we. But from that death comes rebirth into something greater. Two souls becoming one, but retaining the memories and essence of both. You will still be Casimir and Lyra, but you will also be something new, something the curse cannot touch, because it is bound by love so complete that nothing can find a crack to exploit. Lyra looks at Casimir and he looks back at her, and the question hangs unspoken between them. Can we do this? Tell us about the ritual, she says finally. The elders explain. It will take place at the darkest hour of the night, under the new moon when shadow is strongest. Lyra and Casimir must stand at the center of a circle of power, surrounded by the pack who will lend their strength. They will speak vows of binding, offering their souls freely to merge. And then, at the moment of completion, they must allow their individual consciousnesses to dissolve into each other fully, completely, without holding anything back. If they succeed, they will emerge as something unprecedented. Two people with one shared soul, their power magnified beyond measure, the curse broken forever. If they fail, they will both die, and the curse will consume everything. No pressure, Casimir mutters darkly, and despite everything, Lyra laughs, that bright, beautiful sound that has become his favorite thing in all the world. We can do this, she tells him with certainty. I know we can. Because I trust you completely, and I love you more than I love the idea of remaining a separate, safe person. I want to be we with you. I want it more than I've ever wanted anything. He pulls her close, breathing in the scent of her moonflower and magic and home. Then let's do it. Let's break this curse and build a future where we never have to be apart again. Not even in those fundamental ways. They spend the next days in preparation, both practical and emotional. Casimir settles his affairs, making provisions for his pack in case the worst happens. Lyra writes letters to the few people who remain from her old life, saying goodbye or hello to a new beginning, depending on the outcome. But mostly, they simply spend time together, memorizing each other's faces, voices, touch, making love slowly, reverently, as if every moment might be their last. Talking late into the night about everything and nothing childhood memories, philosophical questions, dreams for a future they might not live to see. If this works, Lyra says one night, her head pillowed on his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath her ear, will we still be ourselves? Will I still love you the way I do now, or will it be different when we're merged? I think we'll love each other more, he muses, his fingers drawing patterns on her bare shoulder. because we'll experience love from both perspectives simultaneously. You'll feel how much I adore you from inside my experience, and I'll feel your love for me from inside yours. It'll be dot dot double quotes. He trails off, searching for words. Complete, she finishes. We'll be complete. Yes, exactly that. She's quiet for a moment, then I'm not afraid anymore. I was at first. Terrified of losing myself, of ceasing to exist as Lyra, but now I understand I won't lose myself. I expand myself to include you, and that's not loss. That's the most profound form of love there is. He kisses the top of her head, his arms tightening around her. I love you, he whispers. Whatever happens, whatever we become, that's the truth that defines me. I love you. I love you too. Always, in any form. The night of the ritual arrives with a stillness that feels almost sacred. The pack gathers in the great courtyard, forming a circle around the space where Casimir and Lyra will stand. Every wolf is present, from the youngest pup to the oldest warrior. They've painted their faces with symbols of protection and hope. They hold candles that burn with steady flame, despite the unnatural wind that swirls through the fortress. The elders stand at 3 points of the compass, their ancient power adding to the ritual's foundation. The sky above is utterly black new moon, no stars visible, the curse gathering all its strength for this final confrontation. Casimir and Lyra enter the circle together, dressed simply in white, the color of new beginnings. They're barefoot, grounded to the earth. Their hands are clasped so tight their knuckles are white. The eldest elder begins to speak in the old tongue, words that resonate with power. As she speaks, light begins to trace patterns on the ground, a sacred geometry that has been used for soul bindings since before recorded history. Casimir turns to face Lyra fully, taking both her hands in his. His eyes, those golden eyes that first captivated her by the lake, are steady despite the fear he must be feeling. Lyra, he says, and his voice carries clearly despite not being loud. I offer you my soul freely and without reservation. I offer you my strength, my protection, my devotion. I offer you every moment of the rest of my existence, whatever form that existence takes. He pauses, emotion thick in his throat. I offer you myself completely. Take what I am and weave it together with what you are, until there's no separation between us. Until we are one. Magic flares between their joined hands, gold and white, bright enough that several wolves have to look away. Lyra's eyes shine with tears, but her voice is strong. Casimir, I offer you my soul, freely and without reservation. I offer you my magic, my wisdom, my hope. I offer you every breath I take from this moment forward, every heartbeat, every thought. Her voice drops to something more intimate. I offer you myself completely. Take what I am and merge it with what you are, until we are not two, but one. Until we are we. The magic intensifies, forming a column of light around them. The elders' voices rise in harmony, speaking words of binding that haven't been heard in millennia. The pack begins to howl, adding their voices to the ritual, their power to the working, and the curse feels what's happening and panics. Shadow explodes from every corner of the fortress, pouring into the courtyard like a living thing. It crashes against the circle of light, trying to break through, trying to reach Casimir and Lyra before the binding can complete. The pack holds firm, their circle unbroken, but the pressure is immense. Kale's nose begins to bleed from the effort of maintaining his position. Young Thomas drops to one knee, but refuses to leave his place. Even the elders strain, their ancient strength tested to its limits. Inside the column of light, Casimir and Lyra feel the moment approaching, the point where they must let go of separation, must allow their individual selves to dissolve into each other. It's terrifying. Every instinct screams against it. The ego, that fundamental sense of self, fights to survive. I'm scared, Lyra admits, her voice small. So am I, Casimir confesses. But we do it anyway, together, on three. She nods, tears streaming down her face. On three, I love you. I love you. 1, 2, 3. They let go. It feels like dying. Like falling into an infinite abyss. Like being torn apart and reassembled simultaneously. Lyra feels her sense of self fragmenting, feels everything that makes her Lyra beginning to scatter, and then she feels Casimir, not as something external, but as part of herself. She experiences his terror mirroring hers, his determination, his absolute love. And instead of losing herself, she finds herself reflected in him, held by him, expanded by him. Casimir experiences the same dissolution, the same terror, and then he is Lyra. He feels her compassion, her strength, her unshakable faith in redemption. He sees himself through her eyes and understands finally that he is worthy of love, that he always has been. The guilt and self-loathing he's carried for centuries melts away in the face of her absolute acceptance. They spiral together, two consciousnesses merging, and instead of one consuming the other, they create something new. Something that is both and neither. Something that contains all of Casimir's strength and Lyra's magic, his protectiveness and her wisdom, his centuries of experience and her hope for the future. They are one. The column of light explodes outward, a shockwave of pure love and power that sweeps across the entire cursed lands. The shadow tries to resist, tries to hold its ground, but it cannot stand against this force. Where the light touches, corruption burns away. Dead trees suddenly sprout leaves. Barren earth erupts with flowers. The perpetual twilight shatters like glass, and for the first time in 300 years, dawn breaks over the fortress. The curse screams a sound of rage and agony and disbelief, and then it simply unravels, torn apart by a love so powerful, so complete that darkness cannot exist in its presence. The pack collapses in exhaustion and relief, tears streaming down faces both human and wolf. The elders bow their heads in profound respect. And at the center of it all, where Casimir and Lyra stood, they stand still, together, separate bodies but one soul, their eyes glowing with combined power, gold and white swirled together, tenter novamente.